Let's look at the 12 rules of English. I'm going to zoom in like it's always fun to do. Always zoom in on the website. Rule number 1. English is crazy. You must understand this or English will make no sense to you at all. It comes from many different languages and is spoken in many different countries. Many languages going into English makes it somewhat crazy, and then many people in different parts of the world trying to speak it as a second language also has a little bit of, shall we say, backlash or backfire. That can also make it seem a little bit crazy. Rule number 2, English speakers are lazy. We do this in our pronunciation. Of course, anyone speaking a language can be lazy, but English speakers are especially lazy. This is why our pronunciation can be bad at times, very difficult to understand. It's also why we have contractions such as don't instead of do not, or you'll instead of you will. It's also part of our culture. That's kind of why English speakers tend to be a little bit global domination happy. England, the United States, it runs in the blood. We're just lazy, and it's easier to be lazy if you just run the world. Then you don't have to argue with it all the time. I'm not saying that that's good. It's just part of the culture. English speakers are lazy. English talks in pictures and geometry. Most of the things we say in English are figures of speech. You can Google that term and find out what figures of speech are. Nouns also have case. Understanding those makes a lot of sense. English talks in pictures and geometry. In a house, you sit in a chair, but on a stool. Why? Well, look at the geometry. A chair has a back and arms. You're in the thing. A stool, you're just on top of it. On the floor, on the 7th floor. I mean, you wouldn't be in a floor, would you? All of it makes sense. I'm in a hurry. Well, the picture is that you're in a tornado or some sort of a thing. You're in a hurry moving. We do this with prepositions. We also do it with figures of speech. Never say you want to give off a good image. Images are not given off. They're shown or displayed or portrayed, especially if it's a picture. You want to portray a good picture of yourself or display a good image of yourself. If you want to give something off, that would be vibrations or vibes. Give off good vibes. How do you know how to match these things? Well, don't memorize it from a book. Just think of the picture. Especially advanced English teachers will tell you to look at the picture. Circle the verb and box the noun, triangle, adjectives and adverbs, double underline WH, pronouns, parentheses, the helping verbs, brace the pronouns, underline prepositions. This all gets a little bit elaborate. The point is, start by circling the verb and then use basic shapes. There's a video on that which really helps. It's very useful to put basic shapes, draw basic shapes over your English words. You'll understand them much, much better, especially if you're struggling with grammar. If you're taking a test and you're not sure what the right answer is, even if it's not even related to English at all, circling the verb can oftentimes help. Know that every single verb has a do. This is important. There's also a video about this. English says everything. This is why implication is unreliable. I mean, say what you mean. English is a very good legal language for this reason. All nouns have number. Verbs have conjugation. That's because English is always saying everything. Capitalization is very important. So is punctuation important. That's all because English says everything. English speakers somewhat struggle with implication. It's not so easy for them. That's because we say literally what we mean. English raps like beatbox. This is important. We do it not only in our ideas, but in our pronunciation. Liquid consonants, starts and stops, sentence pronunciation. We take all of the different words that we say and put them together in a sentence as if they run together like one big long word, and that can be difficult for non-English speakers to understand. Sentence pronunciation is different from individual word pronunciation. The only reason that my words are a little bit more clear and easier to hear is because I'm not pronouncing them normally. I'm speaking very clearly for audio. Normally, English speakers put all their words together because we like to rap like it's beatbox. And in our sentences, we sing with emotion. We express meaning through the tones and through the music of our sentences. They can change, but we create a new song in every sentence we make. This can be very annoying. Do I sound annoying to you? Good. This is an annoying teaching song that I'm putting in my sentence. Now, when you run into people from other languages, especially Mandarin or people in and around China, they don't really get that. That can be very confusing. And if you're an English speaker and you're learning a language like Mandarin, where tones actually have dictionary lexical meaning, you've got to get that idea out of your head that the tone has a meaning as a song or an emotion. Tone has lexical meaning, and so you must learn to talk like a robot if you want to learn Far Eastern languages. Ride to learn. Teachers need to ride the students. Parents need to ride children. Students should study cooperatively. You have to ride yourself. When I was young, my mother would ask me, "Do I have to stand behind you to make you do your work?" The answer is, yes, you do. If you're dealing with a student, or even you yourself as an adult, and you're having difficulty learning or getting the student to learn, you must stand behind the student or stand behind yourself. You have to keep yourself going. Do something to make yourself keep going or to make students keep going. You cannot learn unless you prompt yourself or the student is receiving prompts or studying cooperatively with others. You must ride yourself and ride any student in order to learn. English is a skill cycle. Reading and writing go together. If you want to learn how to write, then read. If you want to learn how to read, then write. If you want to be able to read other people's handwriting, you need to practice handwriting. Likewise, speaking and listening. If you want to be able to listen to people and understand them, you need to speak. And if you want to understand how to be a good speaker, you need to listen first. They go together and they affect each other. And also, typing and spelling can really help a lot. Back when I was in school, I would misspell words often, and I had to write them again and again and again. I couldn't go out on the playground as often as I wanted because I had to write my bad spelling words many times. I've found that typing the same word again and again and again on a keyboard can also help students learn. That's how I learned my spelling, mostly by typing. Of course, you can also write. And of course, the typing and spelling skill set circle also works with the speaking and listening. They all go together, in fact. It's a cycle. When the tide rises, all ships rise. When you get good at many different skill sets, you'll get good at the rest of them. You can't just try to learn good listening without practicing good speaking, and vice versa. You cannot practice good speaking without doing a lot of listening. Reading and writing, you can't learn one without the other. You want to be good at writing? Do reading. You want to be good at reading? Do more writing. Are you not good at typing? Maybe look at spelling. Are you not good at spelling? Maybe you should practice typing. And if you're not good at typing, maybe you should practice writing. More words equals more serious. This is general. Usually, using fewer words is better. In academic situations, we have word minimums, at least 500 words. So we have, shall we say, nonsensing a paper. If you add do to a word, that's similar to being serious or saying seriously or very. I do like this. Using longer versions of sentences can be more emphatic. anger, clarity, emphasis, not necessarily good or bad, but just more strong emotion or stronger ideas. Be mindful of how many words you use in a sentence. Fewer is generally better. Contrast and repeat. If you're learning different patterns or you're struggling with correct grammar, whether you're a native English speaker or English is your second language, grammar charts are not for just referring to, or they're not just to be memorized. You need to actually read them in a sentence. If you see a chart with 20 different words on it, you need to make the same sentence, but use each of those words in the same sentence. So you're going to say the same sentence 20 times, but change it for each word. That's how to use charts. Say it this way, say it that way, but keep everything else the same. Contrast and repeat. Do it upside down, do it right side up. Do it upside down the whole time, but change what you do. Contrast and repeat. Language is acquired and absorbed like a sponge. It's not instructed or memorized or injected. You don't just pour information into someone's head. They have to slowly soak it up by being around it and understanding it. And sometimes you have to tap the sponge in order to get it wet so that it can even start absorbing. English grammar itself is a technique. It's not an equation. It must be practiced, not studied. You can't learn English the same way that you learn math. It doesn't work that way. Sciences evaluate finding the correct answer through a proper procedure, but arts evaluate combining proper technique with artistic license. English is an art. How do you know if someone has good English? Not because they give the right or wrong answer. There are many right answers in an art. You have to look at proper technique with their ability to come up with new ideas and ways. That's how to know if English is being used correctly. So you can't evaluate someone's English or your own English based on giving the right answer. You only give an answer in the right way. That's how you know if you've learned English. And lastly, rule number 12. If you want to learn English, you need to learn it daily. Be exposed to it. Have a word of the day. Have a little grammar tip of the day. Have a noun case of the day. Try to identify every dative word in all of your sentences. All of them, or at least one per hour. Lesser is better, because lesser is more likely to be daily. If you're trying to learn English or improve your English and you do a lot every day, you're not going to do it every day. Daily is more important. 10 minutes every day will help you more than 2 hours a week. Now, 10 minutes a day, that's 70 minutes. That means that 70 minutes, if you're doing it every day, 10 minutes a day, will help you more than doing 120 minutes only one day a week. Daily is much more important. These are the 12 rules of English.